Ohio is the first state to sue drug companies over the opiate crisis. The Attorney General in Ohio is accusing 5 drug makers of creating a deadly mess that they should pay and clean up.
So is that the next step for Wisconsin? Let's ask the Attorney General, Brad Schimel, and I imagine you are watching this case closely.
We are, and Wisconsin did join a large number of states about a decade ago in suing one of the major opioid manufacturers. And we continue, there's a settlement in that case that we continue to monitor the marketing behaviors of the drug manufacturers. We're always watching out to make sure they're not engaging in new conduct that could potentially result in a lawsuit. We announced a couple weeks ago that we are part of that ongoing multi-state investigation, but I'm very reluctant to talk about investigations because then the headline, a lot of times once you have a headline that says DOJ is investigating, people assume somebody's guilty and it's a done deal. But we have to watch the statute of limitations. We can't go back to conduct that goes back a decade. We have to look at what's happened more recently. And the other problem with looking to the lawsuit side of it is, what do you solve? If you get in a bunch of money, how does that help us get out of the problem we're in? I've approached this much more from a collaborative perspective where I worked hard to get the medical community to agree to work with us. And so when we developed our Dose of Reality prevention and awareness campaign, the Hospital Association, Medical Society, Dental Association, Pharmacy Society, they were all at the table with us helping to develop it, and then they helped defend it. And because of the approach we've taken in Wisconsin, when we went to a mandatory prescription drug monitoring program, and no profession wants government making anything mandatory, but when Wisconsin proposed that, they ended up sitting at the legislative hearing table and supporting a mandatory prescription drug monitoring program. And that's unique. And there's a lot of states that haven't been able to get that done because the medical community's objected to it.
So is this similar to what many states did when they sued the tobacco industry? What is your desired result in going the route of suing companies and industries?
Well, it isn't similar because when the tobacco industry was sued, the states were working together. We had collaborated on that. The lawsuit filed in Ohio was one state going out on their own. No one else was approached, to my knowledge, to join in that or be a part of it. So I'm more wary of that. I think the right approach is what we are doing with the large multi-state group that is paying close attention. Our consumer protection divisions in dozens of states are working together. They meet, they have phone conferences regularly and they have committees that are looking at different angles of this. I think that's the right way to go. But
besides committees, how do you touch those who are truly impacted? When I think of the tobacco industry, I think about the fact that they had to give thousands and thousands of dollars, millions rather, to help with programming and prevention that, you know, ultimately at least gives you information to decide whether or not you want to light up. Is that what you want to do by suing the companies, getting money to do that kind of preventative work?
Well, that's a possibility that you get resources to use toward that. We have had some help from the medical community already in pushing this message forward. So again, though, I'm not going to file a lawsuit kind of with the intent to see if I can get them to settle. I would only file a lawsuit if we concluded that there was a marketing practice that violated Wisconsin's consumer protection laws. That's the only way I'm going to get involved.
Wisconsin looking at passing some new laws and deciding on what needs to be done. Is there a tool missing from the kit? Is there something you need, you want?
You know, this is all moving forward very well. We've had 3 rounds of HOPE legislation now that have all passed unanimously. I think we're up to 24 different bills that passed unanimously, and they've done some very aggressive things, like the mandatory prescription drug monitoring program, like the Good Samaritan laws that we have in Wisconsin. That was one of those things that was a heavy lift to get people on board to recognize it's the right thing to do. But the most recent round of HOPE legislation has done some really substantial things that are going to help get more treatment providers out there in the market, and that's critical.
Especially in markets and places where they aren't available. Just got a few seconds left here, but I know Doses of Reality, Wisconsin, that's one sign that shows the message is getting out, right? You're saying Wisconsin sort of leads the nation in this, right?
We absolutely are, and
people bringing drugs are getting...
Yeah, when we do our drug take-backs, we've collected in 2.5 years since I've been AG, we've collected 275,000 pounds of unused medications in these drug take-back events. That's 15 semi-trucks full.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, stick around because we got some more questions for you. A number of big legal court cases this week involving the Attorney General and the Department of Justice.
Including what's next for convicted killer Brandon Dessy. As well, we'll see what's next in his trial.